I decided to fire WaitBot early. Happy Tuesday, May 17th. We've made it half the month. This is a good thing. Elizabeth, welcome. Lauren, welcome. Alan, welcome. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. Missed you guys yesterday, but yeah, we're back on track today. Today, I was working on this article last night, and it's really kind of based on, and it's a continuation. I don't know if you guys were able to catch Miss Marilee's show last night, but we were talking about, well, communication. Kind of a breakdown that happens with social media sometimes. Is social media taking away the actual human interaction? The human-to-human element? You know, when we look at all the different platforms, you have Facebook. You know, there's so many lists. You have Facebook, you got TikTok, you got Instagram, you have Twitter. We have all these different things, right? We have Fireside, we have Clubhouse, we have all these platforms. And do you know what they operate off of a lot of times so that they can better meet your needs, better meet what it is you're after? Well, they use algorithms. And what's an algorithm built on? An algorithm is built on a process, and it's a mechanical process. It's an artificial intelligence process. Does this turn around and replace the human factor? Does social media take away from our aspect of how are we going to communicate, operate, function with another human being? And I'm going to go ahead and say that I believe that it has. I believe it has altered and changed and created a dynamic that has consequences. You know, it's fairly well known at this point that social media, that their practices today have been linked to negative effects on mental health, but also on the mode by which that we communicate. It's created a very superficial, shallow, evanescent kind of aspect. And its impact on communication and on power. Did you catch that part? Its impact on communication and on power has been noted by many who studied this very topic. And what they find? Well, they found that we are operating less as human beings because we are so device-driven, platform-driven, social media-driven. We are driven by the technology. We are becoming affixed to the algorithms of artificial intelligence. Now, I'm sorry, but there's not going to be a day that a computer is going to dictate what my mode or emotion is going to be or how I'm going to operate as a human being. But see, we miss this sometimes. Listen, any main system of communication, which is driven by an artificial intelligence style of an approach, will never match the purpose of a real social interaction and communication between, well, us lowly humans. And actually, it could pervert the whole process altogether. So it's kind of a no-brainer that machines and human simply do not do the same thing. I like this view. This is from I actually got to study with this Dr. Riedman, and he stated this, that it is an undeniable and fundamental fact that we are biological entities. So to doubt this claim makes no sense, and to explain and drive behavior in non-biological ways similarly makes no sense and may create harms. I can get on board with that. Imagine that somebody denied that humans were biological entities. Just picture that for a second. And then try to imagine how you would begin to convince them otherwise. Would there be any form of words that you could use to make contact with their claim? And this is what's meant by saying the claim makes no sense. It's not a novel view. And this was proposed by Wittgenstein. And this is what he said. If someone said to me that he doubted whether he had a body, I should take him to be a half-wit. But I shouldn't know what it would mean to try to convince him that he had one. Now, despite this, social media companies try to drive our biological communication system by use of a mechanical system. Now, this kind of goes back to algorithms and all of these processes. Well, this approach is not only scientifically wrong-headed, but it risks attacking the core function of communication between us humans. Perhaps removing the freedom to be what we are. Wow. I don't want to lose the freedom of who I am. And consequently, social media is just ill-fitted for the very process it purports to enhance. And in fact, this is a crux of the argument, really, against technology. I mean, think of how many times the meaning gets lost in text or email. You ever been in one of those, heated discussions with somebody on text, and man, your thumbs are flying, right? And oh my goodness, you're thinking in your tone, you're thinking in all of these ways, you're processing all this emotion, but is it getting received? Probably not. What's happening is your brain, you're thinking of that person. Now, like, for example, me and Miss Marilee were friends. Now, if I get into a text conversation with her, and let's just say I say something that rubs her the wrong way, right? But I don't realize it, maybe. Well, she's heated up. She's texting off, but what I'm doing in my brain, though, is I'm taking her text and I'm processing it in my brain the way that I have come to know Miss Marilee. Now I'm basically assuming. I'm putting in my own mental algorithm, so to speak, so that I am actually putting in the tone, I'm putting in the attitude, I'm putting in the nature of what she's saying without actually confirming what she's saying. Now, if I take that process and then I'm going to apply that same mentality that I've used for Marilee with maybe a text conversation I have with Elizabeth, or one I have with Lauren, or one I have with Alan. Well, I can't very well do that, because now what I'm doing is I'm using basically my own mental assumed algorithm towards a completely separate conversation with a completely different human being that is also completely unique, creatively separate, the whole 9 yards, but I'm applying the same process over and over again. And now I'm going to take the tone and attitude that I'm perceiving from all four of you, and I'm going to apply it into one process that I'm going to use. This is what social media basically does. It can take 1,000 people and say, okay, what's the general scope from these 1,000 people in a conversation or in a interaction, and let's make this a set form in our artificial world of forced communication, or how we perceive that you're going to communicate. People, that is just not even a little bit okay. Because what that's doing is removing that human-to-human interaction and understanding that we need to have with one another. We need to stay above technology, not underneath it. It's perfectly sensible to use explanations that take the same form in both the physical and biological sciences. So, for example, relating one observation to another in a purely functional manner. Example, such and such is related to such and such. Now, both Newton and Skinner have used such a form of explanation. However, it is not sensible to assume that the mechanism from one context applies in another. Does that make sense? In other words, to assume that biological systems, us, are driven like machines, right? That's not, we don't. So the imposition of a mechanical metaphor to a biological system produces considerations showing the paucity of the approach and its potential for harm by not recognizing the nature of the behavior that it drives. You ever think about that? How does social media drive your behavior? How does it drive how you operate and how you communicate and how you are you? How you maintain being you every day? Cognitivists. 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 This word stumps me like Worcestershire. Like nobody really knows how to say Worcestershire either. But I'm gonna continue with this. But cognitivists have long used the mechanical metaphor to explain to explain human functioning, and often mechanical metaphors related to communication systems, like memory as a wax tablet, mental functioning as a telephone exchange, thinking as a serial or parallel digital processor. Those have all been employed, right? But this focus could reflect the importance that cognitivists place on language for who? Us, for humans. Most likely an overemphasized facet of human behavior. But that would be a whole other show right there. But yet, even given this tendency, there have been few, if any, attempts to suggest that humans actually interact like social network devices. Now, despite the popularity and all this of the latest, machines or whatnot, it is not incorporated into the canon of failed cognitive metaphors. Perhaps even the cognitivists know that digital communication systems do not work like humans. Well, this is very important to think about. And I know that, this might seem like I'm really reaching on the edge here, but I'm not if you follow along here. Because if you really look at how do we operate? Like, I can't even tell you how many people I have conversations with that their only interaction with, like, family, close family, is Facebook. That's it. There's no telephone calls. There's no visits to the house. It's Facebook. That's how you know that, your cousin Sarah had a baby, or, Aunt Jenny's in the hospital. You learn it from a Facebook status. And then the fact that you go and put the little sad emoji on there, that you interact, that you showing, oh, I care, oh, I saw that this is happening, I care, here's my emoji. That's why those emojis exist. It replaces something. I don't want to be replaced. Elizabeth popped in on the back channel that she totally agrees, and thank you for that. But that's the thing. Oh, does that constitute? Because now I have fallen into, well, I've got my little package of my emotions. I'm not attacking like our reaction button and all that here. I value that. Like, it's good. But my point is, if you only rested on that, there was never any actual attempt at further communication. Well, now you're falling into that artificial side. You're falling into that separated, detached form of communication. Now look, leaving aside whether digital communication platforms can model human communication, application of rules based on artificial intelligence metaphors are driving communications experienced through social media. And they're shaping the way that social media companies interact with their users. Now think about that. Because how many times have you tried to, first off, how many companies have you ever tried to reach that are not reachable? You're forced through a pre-programmed system. Press 1, press 2, press 3. Click through these 19 options to talk about why you're going to send us an email, and then we may or may not get back to you. That's what happens. And so we get locked in. We start accepting this. There was a writer that very enthusiastically said, I'm trying to remember his name too, but he said a single click can impact what notifications pop up on our social media accounts. And because of AI products, facial recognition, natural language processing are helping companies improve customer service and market their products more effectively. But as social media is driving much human communication differently, and as this communication system is not based on a biological system, meaning human, but on a mechanical metaphor, which is like algorithms, well, does this ultimately impoverish social relations? Now, this is my opinion, and I'm going to say yes, I believe that it does. I'm, I watch it happen. I mean, hell, I've been guilty of falling into the gambit of, just nestling into my technology world, okay? But I also see it around me. I see it around me every single day. Every day. Language does not have the simple function of delivering information and is more than a set of specific rules. Such communication is primarily about social relationships, not its formal structure and or rules as, might be documented in artificial intelligence or in an algorithm. And as such, purely structural or formal definitions of communication, ironically, kind of like the view of human language, well, they do not capture the essence of human communication. That is the transmission of meaning or intention socially. I'm going to bring Marilee up. I'm going to finish this one paragraph real quick, Marilee. But computation as defined purely, formally, or syntactically, whereas minds have actual mental or semantic contents, and we cannot get from syntactical to the semantic just by having the syntactical operations and then nothing else. That was said by John Searle. So the use of communication systems that deny the importance of meaning, what's that going to do? Well, it's going to have long-term consequences for social interaction. That's what it's going to do. On the back end, Elizabeth wrote, social media doesn't replace human interaction and emotions. We should have more personal, one-on-one interaction. Value more of that human-to-human essence. I prefer that. Elizabeth, so do I. I strongly prefer that, and very well said. Even if the syntactical semantic gap were bridged, the employment of artificial intelligence systems still derails the usefulness of social media for meaningful social interaction. Social communication in which the behavior of one person receives reinforcement mediated through the actions of a second person. And apart from that social mediation, verbal behavior differs in no important respect from any other behaviors. So, since social media, especially in the grip of artificial intelligence algorithms, does not provide reinforcement of a behavior mediated entirely through somebody else's reactions, but rather through artificial analysis of the first person's own behavior. So, in essence, reflecting it back to them without any necessary social interaction. I'm going to remove the actual social interaction. And it cannot be thought of as social communication in a real sense, can it? So again, this may have negative long-term consequences. I want to pause right there. Marilee, welcome to the stage. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning.
Interesting topic, huh?
Yeah.
As I'm listening to you, I'm like rewinding where the actual problem is that I see. And, you started off talking about, how we text to each other,
Yeah.
our inability really to communicate and how we identify the text by personality. We know that personality, so we know what you're saying when it's coming through, right?
That's right.
But in that communication, and I'm going to put this together with our technology, there's a lot of voices out there, a lot of voices out there. Either whatever platform you mentioned,
Hmm.
and just through text because that's so much easier now, just to send a text and
Yeah.
then to have an argument by text
Yeah.
on. I mean, it's so cheap. But here's the thing. Um, Most people, you've heard the word that the graveyard has the what is it, the most amount of books or something like that, because
Right.
people, right? Because people don't write books. Well, it's like if you're challenged to write a book, to put your thoughts on paper and publish it, most people hesitate. Go, oh, no, 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 I'm not a good writer. I can't do that. That's too hard. This is not one of my things. And that is, backpedal. But have
Right.
no problem moving at lightning speed when you're hammering somebody through text. You have a lot to say.
Right.
So it's like, okay, you're struggling to put things on paper on purpose, but when you're triggered, it's okay to move forward.
Right.
And this is our problem with communication. It's taking responsibility for our tone, the words that we choose, and the order in which we say it, instead of assuming that we know the personality and what they meant.
Right. And that's the whole thing right there. And see, and too many people are getting locked into what social media platforms are presenting as what your assumed responses are going to be. What is your assumed?
Right.
What button are you going to click the most? What emoji do you want to use the most? What's going to best convey 500 out of 600 people? And that's people. That is not communication with another human being. I don't
Well,
care how you slice it.
yeah, because the AI is turning us into robots.
That's exactly right. Because it goes back to what I was talking about earlier too. It's where with social media and algorithms and all that, it's also about power. It's about people maintaining a control and power, and that's what social media platforms, in essence, are trying to do. Because the more power you have, well, the more popular you are, and hopefully, in their scope, the more money you're going to make, and yada yada yada. But
Mm,
still, as human beings, we are the biological
right,
impact here. We
right,
are the biological. We are the human to human, and we have to hold on to that. You know,
right, exactly. And that false sense of love and appreciation and gratitude online. It's like
right?
remember my show, The Feeders and Eaters. It's about that. You get stuck. You be in one of those two positions because it's artificial intelligence. It's sucking the life out of you, or it's feeding you.
That's right. That's right.
And when we're together, it's like, do we even know how to get along? Do we know what to say? Do we know how to give eye contact?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Do
That's
we know
exactly
how
right.
to give praise? I like a heart,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
that's right. All right, pause right there. Pause right there. To make a large part of our communication dependent on a device that does not allow communication to serve its primary function is to change the very nature of that communication. So, if this argument is correct, then several critical questions about the role of social media in human communication is going to come up. And here's what I got. Is it fit for the slated purpose? Will it derail the function of human communication? And why do we look to non biological metaphors for what is certainly a biological system? Now, I like those questions. I like those questions because it does bring us back to, are we operating in our own personal communication platform that's us? Are we operating as human, or are we operating as AI? Are we fitting the mold of a
AI,
social media
sure.
platform? Right. But
Huh.
that's the thing, though. We need to regain more of that focus. Just like Elizabeth said. Elizabeth said, "I prefer one-on-one communication. I want the real." I do too. I want the real. You
Well,
know.
those of us who are real do. It's like, how about this? Did you say happy birthday? Did you send him a card? No, I said I happy birthday on Facebook.
Exactly. Exactly. And I've been guilty of it. Now, granted, it's not with like. I mean, if it's close friends of mine, then no, you're going to get a phone call or a visit from me. But I've been guilty of sending like, "Hey, happy birthday," and sending it on somebody's wall. But usually that's like acquaintances and things like that. Well, there can be a time and place, but we're talking about for like your people that you see every day,
Exactly.
your friends, your family, your stuff like that. Don't it can't just replace all of it. And for
Right.
some, it's like, no, I love my social media. I like my emoticon. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I
like
yeah, obviously it serves a purpose for people who are far away and maybe not that close and they're just warm wishes. So that's great and that opens up the door for more love and that's great. But
yeah,
it cheapens the whole thing when it's people you actually know and they have your phone number and it's like,
exactly.
yeah, I posted it.
Yeah. Instead of just picking the phone up and calling you, being like, "Hey, Marilee, happy birthday to you. I hope you're having a really great day. Just thinking about you."
And
No.
that becomes so precious. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, you actually took time to call me. Thank you.
There you go. There you
Yes.
go. And I'm going to use Elizabeth as an example again. Now, she could have easily just sent a little smiley face down there, but she didn't. She took the time to send a smiley face, and she sent a personal note to actually address what was being discussed. Well, that was more human interaction, opposed to I'm only going to do now. Again, I'm not attacking there. I love our reaction buttons down here in Fireside. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that we have to really look though. How are we operating? That's one thing I will say that I do like about Fireside and the way that they do the react buttons is that it's not like, in other words, people can clap, people can boo, people can send, people can do the thumbs up, whatever, but it's conveying an emotion. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not
Yes.
completely isolating,
It has its
in my
purpose.
opinion. Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, yeah, I just want to send you a quick, I applaud you. I love you. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. That's great. It serves a
Mm-hmm.
purpose. But if we get reduced down to just pushing buttons for communication,
That's the point.
could you imagine if Facebook comes up with all these like these options for sentence writing? Yes, this is what I want to say. This is what I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it reminds me of like the dogs with the buttons now.
Oh
And I'm like,
yeah.
wow, they're so smart, but they're pushing buttons. They're so smart.
Yeah.
Now
And
that
the thing is, I mean, when you think about the pre-programmed sentences and all that, oh my God, there's so many companies that use that
yeah,
process for when you're trying to submit a support ticket and something's not working or whatever the case is.
yes,
Which sentence best describes you? Okay,
yes,
and then they're taking that and they're like, okay, 750 out of 900 people chose option number two, so let's make this now the primary. And then, I mean, that's what they're doing. And so, you know, I understand that
and it's
algorithms and
dumbing
all of
it
that can,
down.
well, it does. And like I said, I understand that doing research and doing analysis on a service or on a product, it has its purpose. I get that.
Sure.
But that's fine. Let it build its purpose for whatever that platform is. Don't let it remove the voice of a human being to another human being. That's different. But that's what's happening. That is what social media is doing.
You're right. You're right. And to those services, those surveys, if it was all, write it in, describe, people would be like, I don't have time for this. And they'll walk away, right? So
Right.
they have to make it really, really simple. Look, I'll give you the answer. Just pick one. Just pick one of them. And
Yeah.
then there's an option for, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah. See, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, that's where the real person comes in.
No, I've had this argument too. People are like, oh no, but no, but I'm on there doing video. I'm doing video talking to people. You're doing video to get your likes, to get people to hit what? A button, to give you gifts, to do these things. So that is your interaction. You're not truly paying attention to the actual human being that's doing that. You're paying attention to the digital representation of a person that is simply giving you the thumbs up or the heart or the gift that you need in order to boost your own popularity and
Mhm.
validation in your own world. Meaning you are driving that video and everything you're doing on that video by a digital mindset, by an artificial intelligence algorithm that is controlling whether or not you are actually going to be popular or you're not.
It's so true. And you know what? It's funny because if you do that video, you get a lot of likes and loves and this, that. The digital world out there, all those people love you, your ego gets inflated and you think you're all that. Then you go out in
Right.
the real world, nobody knows your name, nobody knows you.
Right?
Oh, she's
Exactly.
definitely not showing you love.
Exactly. But buddy, you're out there strutting around like the celebrity of all time.
Right,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah.
And you think you're all that. And it's like, no, no, no. You got to be all that in real life.
Yeah. And
Dating
you
stuff
know,
like that.
and I'm not gonna share the name, but I am gonna say that I did meet somebody that was very, very popular on social media. Well,
Uh-huh.
I met them in person. They didn't know how to operate as just they didn't they their social interaction was absolutely screwed.
Yeah.
They couldn't carry on a conversation with me for longer than I think we spoke maybe a total of about 15 minutes, and the rest of the time I was having to carry conversation.
Ugh. Yeah.
Like because they actually didn't know. It's like there's no buttons. Oh my god, what are you gonna do?
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And
It screws with us. I'm telling you, it just messes with our mind. And I think, it could be too that people who have that kind of following, you're an actor, right? You're on there all the time. You
that's
are
right.
performing. So when you're not on there and you go out into the real world and you meet people, you don't want to be on. So
Right.
it may come across that they don't know what to say or how to communicate, but maybe they don't want to be
No,
on
I understand, but no, this was a situation that I'm telling you clearly. They had truly lost their ability to just have a meaningful social interaction with another human being.
there. Yeah.
Like they were lost.
Hmm.
Kept trying to pick their phone up. I said, "You need to put your phone down. Right?
Right.
I'm not talking to you while you're on your phone. You know what I'm saying?" So, and it was like, but they were lost. Like, would take the phone away, man, and you take away your digital device. What are you left with? Well, you're left with you, my friend. You're left with what your ability is. You
Hmm.
know. Now, that is one thing I will also say about Fireside is that, and I want everybody listening to know this. I am always welcoming. You guys want to come up on stage? You come on up on stage. We can chat. We can talk. We'll go on video if you want. I don't care. Like, I'm into that. Like, I'm good. But see, that's one thing I do like about Fireside. It does promote interaction of human to human,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I'll give kudos there. Yeah,
Yeah, I like that too. You know what else too? I'm thinking it's like when you're walking outside and you see your neighbors, right? And people that you see all the time. If you don't have time to ever stop and talk, it's just like, hey, hey, how you doing? Hey, and you're on your
yeah,
way, right? On your
yeah.
way. But you're constantly scrolling on your phone. It could be at a stoplight, you're in the bathroom. It's but you always have time for other people, other people's
Right,
lives.
right, right.
Some
I know.
shit. Hmm.
Yeah, when I see my neighbor, I just need in my mind I need the options to come up. Say hello, say the weather's nice,
Oh my
cute
God.
dog, cute dog. I mean, yeah, just go ahead and just go down the list or do whatever.
Nobody has time for real connection or conversation or just stop for a moment. Just stop
That's
for a
right.
moment.
That's right. Stop and take a breath. Stop and
Right.
take a breath.
Hey, how
Now,
you
I
doing?
was serious about all of this. If anybody else down in the audience would like to come up and share your opinion or thoughts or ask a question on this topic, I would love to hear from you as well.
Hmm.
We've been talking about, well, human interaction, and is social media wrecking that? And I think it is, because I think that we need to turn around and realize that we are the biological that makes all of this make sense. We are the human beings. We have to continue to operate as human beings, or guess what? You're going to lose it. You're going to lose it.
Hmm.
You're going to feel disconnected one day. And I don't care how connected you are, technology wise. I care how connected you are, heart wise, mental wise, emotion wise, empathy, compassion, love, all these things. Well, let me tell you something. Love is not having 1,000 likes on TikTok. I promise and guarantee you.
Right. Hmm.
That is not love. That is not your happy. That is not going to be. Let me tell you what. Those 10,000, 50,000, 1,000,000 likes that you have on TikTok, they're not going to be there when you're having a bad day. They're not going to be there when you're dealing with a trauma in your life. They're not going to be there when you're facing all that. Nope. They're only there when you're plugged in, when you're doing your thing.
That's right. What are you going to do for me lately?
That's right.
Hmm. You have to really look at the effect that social media is having on us too with scrolling. We want short bits. I think that what they say the attention span is like 3 seconds or something, so you better get your message in like really quick.
Right.
And yeah, so we're bored. We're bored. Next one, next one, next one. And when you leave that scroll and you go out in the world, how easy is it for you to put together a coherent sentence? Because you can't
Yeah.
put your thoughts together. It's you know what I mean? It's they're
Well,
short, short. So
and I, and I want to make a point of what you just said too, of the fact that scrolling mentality, go to the next, go to the next. That's what people are doing with relationships.
mhm.
That's what people are doing with friendships and romantic relationships and all of it. We're just scrolling. Hey, if you don't work out, fuck you. Go to the next. Oh, nope, you're not working out either. Screw you. Boop, go to the next. Oh, you're not working out either. Nope, go to the next. It doesn't matter. Everybody's disposable. Everything's disposable. Why? Because
Right.
there's always going to be a replacement. That's the mentality. There's always going to be a replacement. There's not always going to be a replacement, people. There's not.
But let's look a little deeper. There, I agree with you on that. I agree if it's a shallow judgment call.
Well, but that's
If
what.
they're not, yeah, if they're not quickly just checking off the boxes, right? It's like,
Well,
on
that's
to the next.
Well, that's what we're saying though. Is that with social media, that's what it's developed. It has developed that shallow, very just surface or superficial, shallow. Just
Mhm. Right? Right? Exactly. And there's, if there isn't a lot of discernment and it's nothing but judgment or a selfish, what are you going to do for me? Or what can you do for me? If I don't see your value, I'm out. And, that's unfortunate because a lot of times people with the highest value never work to prove it. Never. And you're silent. You just, you're there and your presence is known, but you never work on overtime to prove yourself to people. So, it just you gotta have discernment. You gotta work on that. Like, what are you actually looking for?
okay. I just lost my connection for a second. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay.
I just kept going.
I'm glad. I'm glad you did. Well, I lost a little bit of what you said, but
Just talking about discernment, the importance of discernment.
right. In the event that I lose my connection again, I've made you a producer just by so you know. so, so you can end the show if I can't. But yeah.
Hmm.
But it is. I mean, but we have to maintain that our human factor, our human element. What are we doing? Are we striving to actually continue to operate as human beings? Are we striving to continue to do and want, just like what Elizabeth said, that one-on-one interaction, that physical, that being personal with somebody? Are we after that, or am I after the convenience? Am I after the convenience of the button? I want to click. I want to click my way to happiness. Well, I don't want to click my way to happiness. I
True.
want to go and have dinner with somebody. I want to
True.
go and watch a movie with you. I want to go, I want to actually operate as a human being.
You know what? And I totally, totally agree. But I have to say this. I think it's important that we don't point fingers at each other and blame ourselves that way, for how shallow we've become and what we've done. Because if you look at technology and the trajectory that we have been put on, I mean, especially over the last, what, 2.5 years now, it's all been here. Here's an introduction. Here, get together on this platform,
Well,
technology, use that. And
okay.
then go to Zoom. You don't need to get together. Go to Zoom. You don't need to be at the office. And then, you know what I mean? And then it's
well,
divide, 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 and stay at home and don't say anybody and cover your mouth. I mean,
well.
it's,
See,
hmm,
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I'm gonna, I, I'm standing behind my earlier statement, which is this: you have a choice of how you're going to operate. You have a choice of how you're going to be
true.
human to human. So no, it's not about. I don't agree. It's not about like what everybody else is doing. It's about what you are doing. It's about what you're deciding to do and how you are going to operate in today's world. And how are you going to operate? Are you going to operate plugged in all the time? And that's your only source of how people know you? Or are you going to exercise being the real human being biological system that you are?
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, it's a decision that we all want to make because we all need to feel each other's energy field. We get that. But the only way that you can make money is by staying home and being on the computer because that's what your employer says to do. I mean, I don't think it's a choice at that point, you know?
But that's not necessarily defining how you operate as a human being.
Okay. You mean like on social media?
Exactly. Just because just because your work is making you stay home and work on a computer, that has nothing to do with how you operate as a human being.
Okay, but the mentality, it's an acceptance. You know what I mean? And then the more you accept and accept and accept is okay, you get into this rut and you're on a trajectory of being isolated and you're making choices without thinking where you're going.
Well, if you're making choices without thinking, that's still on you. Because either way, how you operate is still your choice.
So what are you saying? Then we just shut it down and say no more? No more. We're
No,
not doing
no,
this.
I'm saying that you have to decide how you're going to use it. How are you going to use technology? How are you going to use social media? If you need to stay home and work on a computer all day because of your job, that's great. Do that. It still doesn't dictate how you're going to operate as a human being to another human being.
You know what? Okay. It doesn't, it does though. It kind of does dictate, that word dictate, because we've become accustomed to the social media giving us exactly what you said. It's an option to just push a button. So it
Okay.
dictated, how do you want to do this? And it's like, well, that's the easiest route.
Now you chose to click the button. you chose you chose to go that route. Look, Elizabeth chose an option. She sent a message opposed to just sending a smiley face or a thumbs up. She sent a personal message. She made a choice. Did she have to? No. Fireside made it easy for her just to simply send an emoji, but she didn't.
Okay.
She sent a message as well. You could have simply given me a thumbs up, but you didn't. You said, I want to get up there and talk. And you did. That was a choice. Okay, are we still in the digital world? Yes, we are. We're utilizing everything Fireside's delivered for us, and it's awesome. But we are still making a choice of how we operate human to human.
Correct. We can't do that on Facebook.
Well, that's Facebook. I mean, you know what I mean? But point is, it still doesn't remove your positioning as a human being of
Yes.
how you're going to operate as a human being. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
listen, I love technology. I love having a great phone. I love having my computer. I love being able to tie in, do these shows. I love all that. But it doesn't remove the fact that, for example, when I get off this show right now, I got my buddy Dave sitting next to me. All right? Me and Dave sit here and have lunch together. Guess what? This computer's going to go off. My phone's going to go on silent, and I'm going to sit here and have lunch with Dave. That's what's going to happen.
Hmm.
That's a choice. Now, do I need to do I have to do that? No. Is there anything dictating that I need to do something different? Nope.
No. No.
But
Absolutely.
that's right. But it's a choice. Now,
Hmm.
you know, me and Dave, we're friends on Facebook. Now, do we interact on Facebook a lot? Nope. We interact face to face. Why? Because that's a choice. That's my choice. Now, I could be that person who we're going to share a meme every now and then. We're going to share a little positive click every now and then. I'm going to like a post. He's going to like a post. That's not nurturing a biological standpoint. That
That's
is
a really good
nurturing.
point.
That's nurturing a artificial intelligence standpoint. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to nurture biological.
Right. But that was a really good point. I think, I can agree with that. Like the people who I'm closest to, I don't interact with on Facebook or social. Well, I mean, like Instagram on the back channel, I'll do stuff with my kids. But for real, it's like I'm not talking to you on Facebook. I'm talking
Right.
to you. This is real.
Yeah. We're in the
Yeah,
real world, baby. Like wake up.
yeah. I'm
But
not going to send you stuff on Facebook when I can just call you or text you. That's somebody who's in the inner circle.
right.
Yeah.
So here, and I just want to mention, so with this whole topic, okay, the reason I wanted to go into this topic is because I really truly feel that as a society, we got to make a fervent choice, a personal choice. We have to decide, how am I going to utilize my social media platforms and my work situation or whatever I need to be connected to? How am I going to utilize that and do so effectively and productively,
Hmm.
but also maintain the aspect of the human to human connectivity? Because artificial intelligence is never ever going to replace that, ever. I
Hmm.
don't I don't give a crap how intelligent or smart a platform is. Makes no fucking difference because it can't replace a human heart and a human brain. Period.
Yep. Yep. So
So
true.
it's a choice. It's all a choice. How we operate is a choice. How we treat others is a choice. If we're going to judge somebody is a choice. All of it. It's all a choice. So we have to make the right choice for us. You know.
Yeah, but you know what? In this day and age, you're driven by followers and likes and all that stuff. Do you know how many times that people will ask me, "Yeah, how many followers do you have?" That's going to be the bar of my value, and I just sit
Well,
there and go, "Wow."
no, but see, no, that's my point. Is it?
Uh,
Is that the bar of your value? The way that
no,
you see? That's right. No. So that's it. In other words, that ends that. Like you have a lot of buts. You got a lot of buts and ifs. But my point is, it doesn't matter what other people are saying. It matters what you think on that same topic that you just said. Does all the likes that you have actually merit to your worth? No, it doesn't.
right? Because when people ask a question like that, like how many likes do you have or followers you have, it's like, do you not understand the impact that I could be having on real people every single day and
Well,
not
so
put
there you
my
go.
attention there?
Well, so there you go. So then your answer to that question should just be, I don't know. Go look. Hey, do you want to go to lunch?
No,
See, no, I'm just saying though.
I
No,
understand. I get
but
it.
that's the point though. You have a choice. So
Right.
okay, so you could sit and answer the question, but if you're going to be all offended by it, well, and you're not going to do anything about the fact that you're offended by it, then that's your choice.
Offended by the question of how many followers I have?
Yeah. In other words, if you want to have that human to human interaction, then make it happen.
Yeah, no, okay, I don't think I understand what you're saying. I'm saying the value that they are reducing my value, right? That's what you're saying.
Okay.
Reducing my value depending
Okay.
on how worthy I am online.
Okay.
They have no idea the actual work that I do
Right.
offline. But
Okay.
anybody who does actual work offline is not going to defend themselves, right?
Right. Well,
Right.
so and also in that same point, and I'm not arguing with you. Please know this, but
I
also in that same point is that you're not going to be bothered by it.
No, not at all. What I'm saying is the shallowness. My point is the shallowness of the question.
No, yeah. Well,
You,
again,
you know what
that's
I'm saying? Yeah.
that's the majority of society today is that mentality, is that shallowness,
Yes.
that shallowness, superficialness, all of that thing. But we don't have to do that. We don't have to be there. We don't have to live in that on a day to day. As for us, we get to make that choice. You get to make that choice. Mark does. Kevin does. Elizabeth does. Alan does. We all get to make that choice. We get to decide what we are going to do on a daily basis for us as human beings. How am I gonna interact? How am I going to operate? What am I going to project?
Believe
What am
me.
I going to convey? What am I going to receive? All of those things. These are all choices that we get to make as individuals, as biological systems. And I want to operate daily on the biological and not on the artificial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. We are control of the program that we choose to adopt.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's right.
I get to program myself. I'm the operator. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I am the master of my domain.
Amen.
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 Well,
Well, Marilee.
I
Go ahead.
appreciate the conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah, me too. No, me too. I was going to tell you. I was just going to thank you for coming up, sharing your bits. I always love talking to you. You
Likewise.
were, yep. Miss Merrily is a good friend, and I definitely love when she comes up and shares her magical brain with me. It's always good stuff. So,
Magical brain.
magical brain. But have a very blessed and happy rest of your Tuesday.
Okay, talk to you later.
All right, cheers. So, guys, I hope that you were able to pull something from this. And the point is that don't let don't let artificial replace real. Don't let social media become a dictator in your life. Don't let how you operate online with everybody dictate how you operate or communicate as an adult, as an individual, as a human being. Don't give up communicating and operating from a human to human standpoint just to replace so you can click a quick button. You can just go give somebody a like, and that represents like that you said hello, said how you doing, all of these things. That doesn't replace anything. And I don't give a fuck what social media platform you're on. Nothing ever is going to represent or replace human to human interaction. Don't care how you spend it. I don't care what it is. I don't care how much money you're making on whatever social platform you're on. It will never replace the emotional, heartfelt compassion, empathy, love, happiness, and joy that you can get from human to human interaction. So don't fall gambit to it. Own your world. Own your energy. Own your presence. Own who you are as a person. Own your word. And be that. And operate from that standpoint. Guys, thank you so very much for being here. And I definitely hope to see you tomorrow. I'm going to be starting tomorrow. It's going to be starting a 3-part series. We got part 1, part 2, and part 3. And it is really based on, are you allowing yourself to elevate? That's what we're going to be talking about for 3 days. But it's going to be good. So I encourage you to come and check it out. Until then, I hope you have a very blessed and amazing rest of your Tuesday. I hope your week has started off lovely and well. And guys, until next time, be happy, be healthy. Cheers.